Today, I am pleased to be talking with Mary Sebert, who is a former GHSP nurse educator who taught nursing students at Mbarara University of Science and Technology in Uganda. Mary, I'd like to ask you just a few questions to help guide our incoming nursing cohort get prepared for their year of service as GHSP nurse educators.
Okay.
My first question for you is if you could share 3 things you recommend for this incoming group to prepare for teaching in a limited resource setting.
All right, first and foremost, I think it's extremely important to read about the culture, read everything you can before you go, to learn about their values and their norms and their beliefs, because the way they were raised as children and the way they went to school will really impact how they are used to learning. So it's extremely important to read as much as you can about their history and their politics and just get to know them as a people. The second thing I think that's very important is to know that nursing fundamentals around the world are basically the same. We all have the same knowledge in regards to hygiene and elimination and skincare. The way it varies is in the nursing interventions. They vary because of the resources, the limited resources, and so it's important to be flexible, to understand that the fundamentals are basically the same, but the interventions are going to be different, and you're going to have to be creative and flexible in regards to that. The third thing I think is to be comfortable in the way you teach. If you are uncomfortable or not strong in a certain aspect, become comfortable with it, read about it, ask people about it, because you need to do presentations, you need to be flexible in the way that you teach, and everybody learns differently, so you really do need to incorporate lots of different teaching styles in order to be effective, because again, you're going to have large student bodies that are all going to learn in different manners, so it's really important for those to be comfortable with yourself and what your skills are.
Thank you. That's very helpful. My second question for you is, what are the 3 most important things you taught while you were in Uganda?
Well, that's fun. The first one is that you, as a GHSP volunteer, are going to be a huge role model, and you need to act like a role model, you need to dress like a role model, behave like a role model, you need to be consistent and fair with your students, you need to be present with them, listen to them, honor them, and then most of all, you need to be patient and kind and flexible. I mean, kindness goes a long way, a smile goes a long way when you have students who are uncomfortable, or if you are uncomfortable. So that's one thing. I think role modeling is extremely important. Another thing that I think I taught, which was very fun, is I have a different teaching style. As of course, Ugandans is very linear almost, or very strict, and my style is more flexible. I use different methodologies, I use demonstrations, I use role plays, so it's important to open up their mind to different ways of thinking, critical thinking, giving them the option of discussions and group work, and debating is really fun because it really opens up their eyes to something they are not accustomed to, and that was very fun and very effective. All right, so the second thing that I think is really important that I taught was the teaching styles that I used. I modeled the different teaching styles. I brought in different methodologies because everybody learns differently. I encouraged a lot of open discussion, a lot of interaction, a lot of using their critical thinking skills. They love to debate. We did demonstrations, we did role playing, and all of that enhanced their learning. We did some really fun, creative ways of learning, and they were inspired, and the reward in that is that a lot of them wanted to become faculty members as a result of that. So the third thing that I tried to impart on them was to always look for evidence, always continue learning, regardless of whether it's a positive or negative experience, to learn something from that. You know, they're struggling through internships now, and when I see them and I can encourage them, you know, just learn all you can from the experience that you're having. Nursing is a lifelong learning career, and you can't ever stop. And I think I've tried to really impart that on them. So.
Thank you. The last question I have for you is this. What are the 3 most important things you learned while a GHSP nurse educator in Uganda?
Well, the beauty of this experience is you go over to teach and you take away so much more than you actually feel like you give. At least I did. One of the most important things I learned is that each student that you encounter has a story. Their story is always going to be different from the next person in the things that they had to endure to come to nursing school. Some of the stories are very sad. They've endured lots of pain and agony. So it's important to honor them and listen to them. If they open up to you and start telling you their story, it's very moving, and it changes the way that you feel about the students that you're teaching, and it enhances your performance as well as honors them and respects them. So I really learned that, and it was a fabulous lesson. I also learned that people love to learn from people who are inspiring or who are enthusiastic, who encourage them. They're not accustomed to, in most of the cultures that we teach in Africa, are not accustomed to a lot of encouragement, a lot of enhancement of their skills, and they really respond well to encouraging words, just being kind and being patient and helping them through the school work and the clinical setting. So it's important to encourage them all throughout the year, and they'll respond very positively. The other thing I learned is about the relationship that you develop with the faculty, because you are going over there as a GHSP volunteer as part of the faculty. Once you arrive at site, they already know who you are. They have seen your CV. They've already taken you in as part of their faculty. So it's important to become part of the faculty without waiting for a special invitation. To work with them is rewarding. It makes your life a lot easier if you try to understand. If you have questions, they're there for you. So I would definitely encourage building a strong relationship with your faculty members. Then that is also a good role modeling behavior for the students, as well as just everybody at the university that you're working with. So I learned that, and I respect that, and I would encourage you to build that faculty relationship.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.